Hi, everyone. My name is Author Shawnise Chantell. I am from Central Arkansas. I am the author of God Within the Lily. I am on the Star Talk with J Haleem.
I'm in the studio 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 with J Haleem. I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
You are now in the studio with J Haleem.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy J Haleem, and yes, we are back for another great episode of S.T.A.R.V.E Talk. Listen, I got this lovely young lady here, and I got a thing for authors. I'm a 3-time author myself, and when I wrote my first book, I was reborn. I promise you. I talk to people all the time and tell people that I found my lane. 40 years on this earth, almost 41 years, I found my lane. I thought that my lane was some other things, but boy, and now I'm a 3-time author, and I got about 6 of them in the queue, ready to go. I even convinced my daughter to become an author. She has 2 books. So I have a thing for authors, more importantly, a thing for Black authors, because I don't feel as though we tell our story enough. I don't think we let our people know how we overcome, our tribulations and our trials enough, especially in the form of writing. That's going back to our ancestors. That's how we did it. And so when I got in contact with this sister and she was telling her story and she put it in the book, I'm like, yes, we need this. This is what we need. So without further ado, I want everybody to give a round of applause to this beautiful sister here, Author Shawnise Chantell.
Thank you, J Haleem, for that warm welcome.
How you doing, sister?
I am blessed. I am blessed. How you feeling?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm happy to be
Good,
here with
good.
you this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
Hey, no problem. No problem. Again, I'm just grateful for your story. I'm gonna let you tell it best, but I'm just grateful for your story, grateful for you being able to overcome, and then more importantly, being willing to talk about it in a book form. So let's start from the beginning. You rocking and rolling, you're in your career, everything like that. What was you doing before you went through the things that you started to go through?
Okay, well, before I was actually working within a medical field, so I was working at Arkansas Heart Hospital. Always had a energy to serving others, so I just kept on within the medical field. I ended up gaining my medical degree, and that was just where I was at. I'm young. I'm 36 years old. I come from an upbringing that you got to work hard for everything that you want. Very respectable upbringing. I was a teenage mom, and then everything that in my life actually lines up to where I am now.
Okay.
And so I'm just on this wonderful journey just to share my story with everyone.
Yeah, I love it. So medical field. So you've been in the medical field. We talked a little bit off camera. You've been in the medical field from the door, like,
From the
as a
door.
teenager. So how
Yeah,
was
I had to
that?
crawl before I walked a little bit, but I made
No,
it.
a lot of people don't know what they want to do. And as a teenager, you're just trying multiple things and you're trying to figure it out. How was it that you just jumped into this and then you stayed there? Do you feel like you were stuck or you feel like you found your passion?
Actually, I believe that I found my passion because at the time, I had an aunt who was diagnosed with an uncurable disease. She passed away at the age of 15, right beside me. And from there, I knew that I wanted to be a part of some form of research or some form of medical. And so from there, I just kept on just aligning myself with hands-on with working with people. And then I went into administration and then I went to school. So I just knew that I had to service others, and medical field is just where I fitted.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's fine because again, a lot of people, don't figure it out. Even in their older age, and a lot of times it's because they haven't tried a lot of things. But you are like hitting a lottery ticket when you can find out what you want to do at a young age and then actually do it. That's like
Right.
hitting the lottery. So, that's a great situation. So when young sisters or young people, period, ask you about that, what's your advice for them trying to figure out what they want to do with their career? You said 15. That's all the questions that they ask. What are you going to do when you grow up? What do you want to do? You about to go to college or you about to get out of high school before you know it. What would you tell them? What advice would you give them?
Well, to be honest, that really that is what I desired to be within a medical field, but that wasn't my purpose. I never knew my purpose. I just knew that I fitted in caring for others. Where I'm at now is actually my purpose, and
Mm.
that's where I'm thriving at. And I will tell anybody that if you do not know where you're going, you don't know your purpose, give it some time, trust the process, because you're going to figure it out along the way. It just takes time, because some people just jump in knowing their purpose, but people like me has to go through something so tragic in order to open the door of the purpose that God has for me.
Oh, I tell people all the time, because one of the things I do is train entrepreneurs, new and
Mhm.
existing entrepreneurs. And everybody talks about passion, 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 which I love passion. I want people to follow their passion. Well, not follow their passion. I want people to take their passion with them. I tell people, if you're driving in the car, your passion should be in the glove compartment.
Mm,
Not
that's some
following
good
passion,
stuff.
because the definition of passion is an uncontrollable emotion. And so that's needed for certain scenarios, but that's not something you need to use all the time. So you got your registration in your car, you need that,
Absolutely.
but you might
And
get pulled
insurance.
over on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Hmm.
but you got it. And so you need that. But your vehicle can change. And
Absolutely.
your vehicle to get into your purpose can change. But whatever vehicle, you might want to bring your passion along with you, like your registration. And then when you get to that destination, when you're in your purpose, then you can actually start performing and doing what you do. And so when I hear that, but again, being so young, we don't even do that, right? Like, we're trying to find so many things, and it's like, understand, you start the process. This might be the thing that make you the money. Because if you're broke, if
Hmm.
you're not making money, not earning, and making you feel good about yourself, you're not going to perform at anything. You're not going to feel good in your relationships. You're not going to feel good when you're in front of your children. You're not going to feel good when you're in front of your peers. You're not going to do anything right. So that's one of the things, that stability. For me, I want to applaud you for that, and I want to highlight that, because
Thank you.
we're trying to find so many microwavable ways to be on, as opposed to just staying in the game. Because, like, people don't hit home runs all the time. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?
I think
Boys.
for me, it was just that why though. Like my daughter, having a daughter at the age of 15, and then having to finish school, and then threatening of being homelessness. It was that why that I had to figure out something. I had to work. I
Mm,
had to work in order for her to eat, in order for myself to eat. So I just had that why. I had something to push me, something more important than myself. And
love it.
so, with that said, I just had to get it. I just had to work, and then I figured it out along the way, to go within the medical field. But once I got there and I worked with doctors and everything, then I had my event that went on, would led me to like just writing a book. So now I'm a patient. I'm the person
We
looking
gonna get to that. We gonna
in
get to
there.
that. We gonna get to
But
that.
yeah, so I say it's your why. It's your why. And my child was my why.
Yeah,
So that's what drove
definitely.
me to eat.
I love it. I love it. Do you feel that someone at 15, outside of it being something like a major life event, like having a child, should understand their why?
Um, I believe so, because if you don't know who you are, you don't know really too much of where you're going.
Okay.
Everybody has a purpose, and you may not know it then, and you go through all these challenges and things of that nature, but you got to know one thing: we're only here for a short period of time, so you ain't got much time to figure it out.
Yeah.
So you should understand what you like, just kind of break it down, write it down, what you like, what you don't, and just go in it,
Yeah.
and just follow it. You got big dreams, take steps to get there, and then excel. So yeah, it's important to know who you are, or what you like, or you
Yeah.
know your a future mindset of what you're trying to do,
I
because you don't want
love
to
it.
die and you have a legacy.
I love
Life
it.
is
I
short.
love it. So you said you're 36 now.
I am 36. Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
37 in about August 16th. So I'm a
Okay.
Leo.
Okay. I get along with Leos. So so you started working and you had your child at 15. What was the next 5 years like?
Well, the next 5 years after that, so I end up graduating to high school, of course, and then I end up getting married. And then at that marriage led to a pretty good lifestyle. But I ended up getting divorced. And then I went into my 30s. So my 30s, it was like all about me and my kids. It was like, I'm going to jump out of airplanes. I'm going to just live my life to the fullest. So the end part, it was like, I'm just going to live. I went through all of
jumped
that.
up 15 years, girl. I said the next 5 years.
Well, look, that was everything happened so fast. Everything happened so fast. So, I don't remember too much
and
about
I
what
asked you that because again, we talk about S.T.A.R.V.E, stand tall and reclaim victory every day, right? So we all been in a situation with a sister like yourself who possibly, and young brothers who had kids at that age. And everybody want to dispel the myth that your life isn't over. You know what I'm saying? It might not have been what you planned to do at that time, but I wanted to get a picture and paint the picture of what that next 5 years look like. What changes, what adjustments did you have to make? Did you not, like, were you a cheerleader? Were you and then you wasn't cheering anymore? Were you hanging out with the girls a lot and now you chose not to because of what happened? Like all of those things, because this is about the overcoming. This is about decision. This is about discipline. This is about understanding these steps, because I always tell this story when I'm talking to people. I hate it. And I gotta stop using that word, but I didn't like Eric Thomas, the speaker, because I'm from Newark, New Jersey originally. We yell, we big, we right outside New York. We big mouth too. So all he yelling. Y'all, you want to sleep? You don't want to get up and run. And I'm sitting there like, man, people got to go to sleep, dude. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you want people to be up all night doing that? Don't make no sense. But it wasn't until I read his book and I literally would listen to other motivational speakers like Les Brown and other people like that. And then I started hearing some more of him where he was actually telling his story. Like he was saying that he went to bed at 6 or 7 o'clock at night to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. I said, okay, that's discipline. That's not you're dying of sleep deprivation to do this video. You're actually disciplined and saying, forget partying, forget all that. I'm gonna go to bed early so I can get up and do what I need to do. And because this is what the YouTube numbers is telling me what I need to do in the algorithm and all that other stuff. Now that makes more sense to me. But because of stuff like that, and it's so many more people that's like that, that's not telling the whole story, we get confused and we get in that lottery syndrome, and we got one person that's winning, and then you got a million people that follow behind them and lose. Because think about it, how many people go play the lottery? It's only probably gonna be 1 or 2 winners, but 2 million played.
Wow. Yeah.
And you understand what I'm saying? And nobody can tell you a system of how to win the lottery. We're all just saying he did it, so let me do it. And if it's a system, everybody will be able to do it. And so when a sister like you able to tell me you're an author at 36 years old, right? And you went through a trial, which we're going to get into, but you've been able to overcome it. And you had a child at 15. And between that split, some things happen.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, from the time I had the child and I graduated, I got my apartment and I just worked.
That's what I'm talking about.
I just worked until something happened, took place. And, I was married and everything. So it was just all work. I had to put on my seasoned folks say my big girl panties.
Big girl panties.
So I was a child raising a child. So I just had to take care of business because all I knew that I brought this child into the world and I had to grind and take care. So I didn't figure it out till late in life.
Yeah.
And so from from a teenager on to my maybe mid to late 20s, I didn't even figure it out. I just jumped into the medical field really late. And as far as my degree go, but I just been working. And I did some things, I had my little fun. I ain't gonna lie.
And that needs to be.
I grew up and I knew that the person I used to be, I'm not no more. Places I used to go, I don't go no more. And things I used to say, I don't say no more. Until the Lord came into my life. So
what was your support system like? Was your family around?
Yes. So I have a good support system. And in and out of life, I was raised from a single parent home, of course. My mom, my dad, they divorced. They was together for 16 years. So I was raised by a village, my grandparents, my cousins, and we all strong knit. And so by coming from a single parent household, that really taught me how to be the best mother and person that I can be as a woman, as a young Black woman. And my mom always worked hard, so that was always instilled in me at an early age. But we have a good relationship now. What really brought us closer together, what is my cardiac arrest. So that really brings a family so close.
Yeah.
But we always been close. I have 2 other sisters and no brothers. But yeah, I've been blessed to have good family. I've been blessed. You can't choose them, but
no, you don't want to. But you see how important it is to have that discussion, because I don't want to leave them out. You know what I'm saying? Like you had support. You had some people saying you can do it. You had some people, I don't know. We all got nicknames. So I don't know what your nickname was, but somebody was calling you.
Mine was actually Niecy.
See?
Mine was actually.
So everybody was Niecy, you got it. Niecy, you got it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I got you.
I mean, there were times that I was tried. There were times where I had to trust my own desire and instinct that I couldn't go, because there are families that not all of them are for you. And let's just be real. Not all of them, but my immediate family, they always supported me no matter whatever I do. They always supported me in life and everything. And so, but it was my own desire. It wasn't about, I had support, but I had to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to know that it was my goal and that Niecy had to do Niecy.
But the thing is there's 2 things that come from that question. Is that somebody who is somebody's parent, who their 15-year-old daughter just had a child, is saying it's okay to support her. And then another young lady the young lady who had the baby at 15 is saying, I might, hey, I do have support. It's okay. I can get through this, with my support. So, so I don't want to miss these types of things, because our stories are way more than just the blurb that we want to put out to market our book or who we are today. If you don't know what somebody had to go through to build that pyramid, it wouldn't be an amazing story. You just see the pyramid. Absolutely. It's amazing. But when you start to think about, they didn't have technology. They didn't have bulldozers back in those days and all those other things. So that makes it even more amazing when you get a chance to see it. So I want to build up to Niecy. I want to build up to Niecy, the author. You know what I'm saying? I want to build up to that situation. So that wasn't your only child that you had. So
no, that wasn't the only child. Now, I'm going to be honest again. My mom did show me some tough love. Yeah. I had a baby at a young age. Don't get me wrong. She supported me, but I had to be the one to take care of that baby.
Yeah.
And she was grandma, and she was a loving, caring grandma. She still is, but it was all up on me. It was all up on me. And so I just had her to my support system. But yeah, having that baby at a young age, it was all up on me.
So when did you have your next child?
So my next child, I actually had my next child 18 years later.
Wow.
And yeah, so by the time I had my next one, it was 18 years later. And then less than 6 months, I had another one.
Okay.
So I don't know how this all came about. I just didn't think I was going to ever have no more. But it's all aligned with God's purpose.
Yeah, it's time.
It wasn't ready for me to have those two child, because their existence is what led to my purpose.
Yeah. So now we're going to get, because I know you want to get into this portion of it, but we got to give people backstory, you know what I'm saying? Because again, like somebody that been through what you've been through and they wasn't doing nothing with their life, or they didn't have anything to, not everybody got something to live for, but they're not really doing anything or moving around. Did you really disturb anything? Sometimes God steps in for people, even when they, he ain't take you out of anything. He actually probably woke you up because you probably wasn't doing nothing.
I had plenty of lessons.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but I had plenty of lessons too.
But you have 3 kids, because this stuff happened after you had all your children, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, see, this is what I'm talking about. So this is painting the picture, right? So you have 3 children. You're working. You're moving around. You're doing what you're doing. And then tell us what happened to you.
Okay, so I had the 2-year-old, and then less than 6 months, I was pregnant with her sibling. And I went in to have her, and I had a scheduled tubal ligation right after delivery. And so
Hold up.
I
Tell
didn't
everybody
know.
what's a tubal ligation, because I don't know.
Oh, well, a tubal ligation is a procedure that takes place that it keeps the mother from having another child or future child. It's intended for you not to have any more children.
Oh, okay. So that's when it's like, oh, the tubes
So
tied.
it's like get my tubes tied.
Yeah.
Is
So
what
you
they
gotta say
say.
the hood version.
So okay, I got my tubes tied.
You got your
Supposedly got my tubes
tubes
tied.
tied. Now people
But it
gonna
went
talk about
wrong.
me.
It
Jay,
went
you supposed
wrong.
to know what that is. I'm like, ain't nobody ever said tubal ligation. Everybody in the hood said I got my tubes tied.
Oh, but see, I'm coming from I'm gonna break it down because I'm coming from the medical side. So there's a little medical terminology, but I can break it down. I can be with it.
I'm
Got my
with you. You
tubes
know that
tied.
I got them things burnt and snipped at the ends. They ain't no way.
Now I got them tubes tied supposedly. So I
Yeah.
went in to get the tubes tied. The surgery took longer than expected, but I didn't know that at the time. From there, I just started going downhill. So on the 6th day, I was still in the hospital. Usually, when a mother have a child, she go home in a couple of days or the same day. Well, you get your tubes tied. Usually, you'll go home the same day, unless you in a hospital. You have you be there a couple of days anyway. So I got tubes tied. On the 6th day, I end up having a real bad infection. Like I was so hot. My mom and my sister, that was like something is going wrong. She's keep on being hot, and so they prompt the nurse to look into my condition. Yeah. Well, the nurse said the doctor has went home. My mother, she was so adamant, and she said no, bring him back. So they end up doing a CT. That test showed that I had fecal matter going throughout my bloodstream. So then I went into emergency exploratory surgery, is what they call it. So really, it just opened me up to see what the problem is. And when they opened me up, it was like a lot of infection poured out. And then I had a bunch of abscesses. Kind of find out the doctor who tied my tubes put a hole in my intestines.
Wow.
And so she ended up cleaning me out, gave me a wound vac, and gave me some drainage and everything. And I ended up going to critical care unit. And then the coaches came back that I had 3 deadly infections. And from there, I ended up having collapsed lung. And then on my birthday, which is August 16th, I usually try to do something very, exciting for my birthday to try to remember my birthday. But this particular day, I ended up in a hospital. I was still in a hospital. So instead of having cake and ice cream and friends and family, I had the news that you got congestive heart failure, you have renal failure, you have respiratory failure. And so then I got a little better and moved to the floor, end up having double pneumonia. So I was like, I can't survive no double pneumonia. I'm already weak and everything. And I survived that because my parents was able to help me to walk around the hospital, and then doctors was turning me, and also I had bed sores and everything.
Well, single pneumonia wasn't good enough for you. Single pneumonia wasn't good enough for you, huh? You had to have double.
Had to have double pneumonia. Double. But I end up beating pneumonia in 3 days. Okay. So getting a little better. And a little birdie told me that if you want to get out the hospital, you got to work the doctors. Every doctor that you see, and I saw about 7 of them, and it started like around 4:00 in the morning. So I'm like, I'm ready to go home, I can do it. I've been here too long. I want to see my babies. I'm ready to go home. So I made it all through the doctors. Then I finally got their approval that I'm scheduled to go home. My sister came, and we sung praise of God and everything. Just the usual, she come by because she works. She worked very close to the hospital. Came by, we sang praise of God, chilling, laughing. And she left me with, I love you, sis. I see you in the morning, because she was scheduled to come pick me up. Now, needless did I know that by the time she made it home, a nurse rushed in and asked me how I was doing, because the heart monitor team was contacted that my heart rhythm was off. By the time she made it in, by the time the head doctor made it in, I jumped back to stabilize. And then 15 minutes later, the heart monitor team called the head nurses like a cold blue. Everybody rushed in. Then the head doctor said, well, I just left the 15 minutes. Came in and said, how am I doing? Immediately, I flatlined. Wow. And my heart stopped. And luckily, they was there. from what I was told they had, I received 5 shocks. They had a loop of device over me, and they worked on me for like 20 minutes. Now, immediately when my heart stopped, I was like, now that's strange. I'm here, but my body is over there. In reference to, I was no longer connected to that body. I'm like, oh, I just died. And then I'm like, I didn't mean to die because I've been fighting. I didn't made it through. I didn't pass on the congestive heart failure, the renal failure, the double pneumonia, all that. I didn't mean to die because it felt so easy. And then I remember in my thought, I was like, I was leaving back behind my kids, you know, my newborn and my 1-year-old at the time. And so, because I had to give her the 1-year-old to her first time dad up to 6 months because she was discharged, but I wasn't. But anyway, I began to feel very nervous. And as soon as I felt nervous, I just felt the overwhelming peace and love that I was going to be okay. And once I became comfortable, I started going through this tunnel and start seeing rays of lights, and I was seeing music, just magical. The light was calling me, you know, it was feel welcoming, inviting. And I knew at that time, I was like, I'm about to meet God. Because from my upbringing, it was like, God is the truth and the light. So I'm about to meet God. So this is okay because everything is beautiful, right? And so I remember passing prayers because I knew that these prayers was all for me. And I'm sure that so many prayer warriors was praying on my behalf for my health and for me to fight. And so once I passed those prayers, I began to flow within this garden. And I remember this lily flower that was speaking to me. Now, I will assume, I really think that this lily flower was God speaking to me because I can see the flow from the roots between life and energy. And I didn't see the face of God, but I surely know he existed. And so a lot of that 20 minutes is a blur, but I believe that I'm sharing what's most important. And the most important message is love, that God exists, and for us to take heed to being loved. So that's why the book is called God Within the Lily, because that lily was God speaking to me, and that was my rebirth. And now that I didn't jump back into my body, I was they put me in a induced coma to take the pressure off my brain and my heart. And since I was with that oxygen for 20 minutes, of course, I wasn't a vegetable, but there was a lot of things that was once simple that wasn't simple no more. Swallowing, I had tremors, I had stroke-like symptoms. Because even when I did finally get discharged after 54 days, the following day I ended back up at the hospital, different hospital, because I was scared to go to the other one, because I was having stroke-like symptoms. And they kept me for 3 days. And then after I left there,
So 57 days.
So 57 days. Now, then after I left there, my dad get the call because he was speaking on my behalf because I was talking like a little baby. I couldn't speak. Yeah. And so after I left there, he get the call for me to go back to the hospital because now I got E. coli. And I cried and I cried. I was like, Lord, I don't know. I can't do this no more. I do not want to go back to the hospital. So another doctor called and said, we can treat your E. coli at home. And I haven't been back to the hospital since. But I do have a pacemaker, ICD, which was put in December the 4th of 2019. But it haven't shocked me anything. And then I ended up being on a lot of pills after discharge, and I had hair loss, and I've been going through counseling. And a year later, after be real with you, a year later after I was discharged, okay, I was sitting at home watching television. It was a lady getting CPR because she was going to cardiac arrest. Well, then I started to have flashbacks of my experience, and that would last me to a deep depression. I had anxiety. I was mad and angry because I started to remember things because I didn't remember the event because they gave me something to wipe out that memory. But what they couldn't wipe out is what God wanted me to share. And so my dad suggested that I go see a psychiatrist just to process and cope with these type of feelings and everything that I've been through because I was jobless. I didn't have my baby for her first 6 months of life. You know, I didn't know who I was because I was in a body that has a wound vac, has an IV in one arm. Then I had to carry the baby in the other one with a backpack with the IV medicine. And so I was going through so many things that I really needed to get understanding about. And through countless of sessions, the psychiatrist stated, Shawnise, won't you write a book? By the time you come back to me, the next section, you better have that book written.
So
So by the time I came back to her, I said, guess what? She
hold
said,
on,
what? I
hold on real
said, I've
fast.
written a book.
Hold on one second, real fast. So you said they gave you something that made you forget.
Isn't that wild? They got something to give you to wipe out the memory of I guess being in a induced coma or flatlining or something. So
Wow. So they
yeah,
confirmed that's confirmed that they have something that can actually do that.
absolutely. And my mom told me that too. So, and it's a part of
Wow.
everything that I mentioned to you medically is a part of my medical record. So I have read some things as well, which is what I shared within the book. I'm like, let me get these timelines right. Let me get this medical stuff right
Yeah.
before I completely share. But yeah, they gave me something to wipe out the memory. I guess they didn't want me to remember because I was already having volume loss and brain injury. So they didn't want to put me, I guess, in a panic attack. I guess. I'm
But
not sure why.
that's your decision, right? That's you can, they can't take that decision away from you. And more importantly, obviously is a driving force for this book and your motivation. So, but that struck me when you said that. I'm like, wow, I never heard of nothing like that. So you're going through all of these situations and it seemed like it won't let up on you. And then were you against the psychiatry, or did you were welcoming the put that going to that?
You know what? First and foremost is I didn't know the medical term PTSD or near-death experience, right? I didn't know anybody other than because it hit my family really hard. So my dad was also seeking help as well, because what affect me affect a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really know much about it. I wasn't totally against it. I just didn't know it for myself.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was so much weight that I couldn't carry on my own. And if there was a professional out there who can help me and talk with me, someone I can really express to, because it's different when you're talking to a psychiatrist and you're talking to your family, your friend. It's just kind of different.
Yeah.
And so so with telling her, a lot of things have come about through different sessions, and then that's when she gave me the recommendation of writing the book. So yeah. I'm for psychiatry because I know that it helped me.
That's what I wanted to talk about real fast, because in our community,
I didn't hear a lot of Black people would like take into
exactly. So I wanted to definitely highlight that and see what your thought process was.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of the status quo. Never been. Black people they say Black people don't jump out of airplanes either, but or swim. But hey,
nah, we gonna get to that. We gonna get to that. So when you're in there and she tells you to write a book, what's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I didn't know where to start. So she just said, start writing, right?
But you were down for it. As soon as she said it, she was like, I bet. You was like, I bet, let's do it. I'm gonna do it. Or you was like, no,
I said,
that's not me.
I try, I write everything down. I didn't know too much about it. So I started doing research. So I came home, I written down, I typed it up, right? And then I'm like, well, now that I've written everything down, now what I'm supposed to do with it. And so I did my little research, said, find a publisher. So I reached out to a publisher, right? And then that's how everything come about. But yeah, I trusted my psychiatrist. And plus I knew that I was with her for maybe 4 or 5 months. I'm still seeing her and things of nature, but I trust her recommendation. And I knew if she's telling me to do it, there was some type of therapeutic healing in it. And it was, although it set me back in my mindset at times where I had to reflect on the event in order to get it out there. But I just made myself vulnerable because I knew at the end of the day, it was something that needed to be told. And it wasn't for me, because if I was denying it, I'd be denying God and his miracle. And I couldn't do that.
I love it. So you went ahead you got started on writing the book. I know you said in the beginning, at what part of the book did you start to get your breakthrough?
Well, I think the full breakthrough came at the completion. It did take me long to write it. I just wrote everything from what I remember and what I felt. I written it down. Then after I written it down, I made sure that I had information to back it up, which was my medical record, right? And so after knowing all of this and reading my medical record, it was like over thousands of pages. I started to understand the situation a whole lot better from a medical standpoint. And I just felt a weight lifted because now I said everything. I'm not holding anything back, whatever, all the stuff that happened, it's in the book, it's there. So now I just feel it's all about pushing forward with the book.
Yeah.
Because I said everything. So all that's lifted. It's not on me. That's everything is in God's hands. I didn't got that weight in.
Did you feel like you got what you wanted to get out of completing the book?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But that was my and now I'm learning that the author's path or the author's community, because this is something that I am unfamiliar with. And even with social media and things, I just gotta learn and everything, because what was so easy to me is the medical field. But all I knew was my psychiatry told me to write the book.
Yeah.
From there, I released some of my anguish, and I released some of because I didn't have any dignity. I was kind of angry that she did that to me, just going back. So I had to realize that it was all about God's purpose. Everybody makes mistakes. And I wouldn't change any of it because everything led to this point.
When you said you was referring to the doctor that made the mistake?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. When I wrote my first book, I never cried so much. Like not during, but after the fact. It's like, cause I speak, and I've had speaking engagements where I'm, the last time was last July. I was at a function, and I just started coming out. And I remember last May was the worst. I was like, I couldn't even really get through. I got through I'm headlining, I'm speaking, and it just, because when you start talking about things that you kind of suppress for years, and yours was just right up on it, so it wasn't that long. But my first book was about me, and so it was things that were suppressed for years, and so it was definitely a breakthrough experience for me once I got through it, during and after the fact, immediately after, because it was just like you had to address things. I was able to forgive certain people. I was able to address things that I had in my beef with for a long time. And so that's why I asked that question, because I think that it's a healthy way to get that out for our people who haven't crossed over and wanted to go and see a psychiatrist. You can start here, but I still think you should go see a professional. I totally agree with it as well. Invest in yourself, invest in a professional. A lot of jobs offer that, situation. And so what's different about you now, the author, than prior to you being the author?
Well, what's different about me now is I am really just enjoying my babies. I mean, I'm noticing every little thing, and I am better with my health. I eat different, and I am more cautious. I no longer am as adventurous as I was. I know I can't do that jumping out airplane stuff, but I'm more aware of who I am, and I'm more aware of my surroundings and everything. So really, it's all about just living life and just living every single moment as though it counts. I connect with people, so networking and telling my story is totally different for me. This is out of my comfort zone. I can talk, but it's different when you have to talk about yourself and what you've seen and what you've been through. Yeah. But I think what really made the process a whole lot easier for me as far as the book was having a publisher. I knew that I needed help, and I had to realize that because I was an independent person, so I wouldn't accept help, or I thought I could do everything on my own. But now at this point, I realized that it's okay to ask for help. Yeah. And she was my help to go ahead and get my story out, and now she's a friend. So
I love it. I love it. What's the message? Tell me the message that you want somebody to take from your story.
So I just really want someone to say that because it's something that I said, and the courage that I have about telling my story, what happened, that it saved their life, that it helped them in some form of way, that it inspired them to follow their purpose, that it followed them to take better care of their health. and and it takes forgiveness. It takes forgiveness and everything, but also having a relationship with the higher being. That's very, very important. And I just want people just to know that just to be inspired about my story. And because what you see now is not what would have been seen like 2 years ago. And that's the beauty of you don't look like whatever you've been through.
Mhm.
And so I just want people just to be inspired that it's okay if you go through certain things, but just to get back up.
Yeah.
Just to get back up.
So before we close this thing, I know you've been talking about this adventurous Niecy. So tell us a little bit about some of the adventurous things you was doing, and see if somebody might be motivated to do some of this adventurous stuff.
Well, now with the stuff that I can remember, because I got some brain loss around here, some volume loss in my brain, but I can remember things that I decided to do on my birthday because I realized that I grew up so fast, so I didn't have time to really enjoy my birthday. I don't remember 21 and 25 and 18 and all that because I was grinding trying to take care of the baby. So I remember my 30th birthday, which is I jumped out of the airplane. I remember my 31st birthday because I got some tattoos, right? And so, and then I remember the 33 birthday because that's when everything took place.
Yeah.
And 34. So, man, I started traveling when I was 17, I believe. And I learned how to swim in my late 20s, and that was scary because the fear of drowning. But I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want to flood the head now, so I couldn't swim or, being African American and stuff like that. But
I understand.
man, I did so much that
No, I just want to touch base on it because I know, and then the more you talk about it, the more you're probably going, some of that stuff going to jump right back in there. But you got the 37th is on the way before you know it. So what you got on what you got on deck for the 37th?
Man, 37, I'm hoping just to do some traveling, just to get some book signings going on and to really travel with my children, just live, maybe see more beaches in life. Just to live. I mean, that's what 37 to me looks like. It's just living, because your birthday is not promised to you. And I know that.
I love it.
So
the most important question now is, what's your babies got to say? I know one of them is not a baby no more, but what do your kids have to say about you and your accomplishment?
Well, I will hope that my kids will say that I am a good mother, that my mother had the strength to come back to us, that my mother is not afraid to tell her story. Because my 16-year-old at the time, she was left to caring for that 1-year-old. And I was supposed to just to have that baby and come back in 2 or 3 days, but that 16-year-old had to take care of the 1-year-old while my family had to be there for me. And so, so I just want her to know that everything is going to be okay. And I know that she's proud of me, proud of my accomplishment. And I just hope that by her seeing that, she will have a good life. She'll have to go through everything that I done went through. Yeah. That just follow the blueprint. And I would hope that they will be proud. I hope they'll be proud. I mean, I love my babies, and they always say they love me and everything. My little chocolate drops.
Nah, that's good. I love that. So I told you in the beginning of the show that the acronym for the show is Stand Tall and Reclaim Victory Every Day. So what does that mean to you? Stand tall, reclaim victory every day. What does that mean to you?
To me, it means just, if you fall down, just to get back up. Stand tall. Don't hold your head down. Hold your head up. And proclaim your victory, that you are a winner, that you ain't gonna lose out here.
Yeah.
There's times that you're gonna fall back, but don't look in your rearview mirror. The past is a past for a reason, for you to just to keep moving, and that was just a lesson. But proclaim that you have a purpose, and proclaim that you're going to be all right, and that you're going to win at all costs.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Y'all see why we do this. Y'all see why we do this here, because it's just so important. Again, it was just, I listen to podcasts on a daily basis, and I watch podcasts, and I always hear the curbing of the stories, and everybody's trying to get to the success portion of it, you know, and
Mhm.
the story needs to be told.
Yes.
Especially us as Black people, our stories have been whitewashed or washed, period,
Oh my goodness.
away. And, you know, they leave out the part of us being kings and queens and us being
Mhm.
royalty and us being this. Like, it's a part of it. It's not just we were slaves. And so those type of things and in schools and, you know, the history books are skewed. They're not talking about Black history the way it is, and it's just so much of that's missing. And for Starve Talk, we did not want to miss out on anything. So anybody that comes on this show or come on our
Mhm.
platform, we're definitely going to make sure that their story is told, so that somebody else can actually get their breakthrough, possibly
I want to
from.
mention something
Yeah,
else to you too, sir.
sure.
So, just speaking of us African American, I want to mention this too because it is statistically women of color are more key to have a lot of bad deliveries,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
More death and everything. I'm not trying to speculate and everything, but it could be where because of my color, maybe I was complaining that I was hurting and that was maybe could have been overlooked. So it's so, with that said, it's just very important that we just know our health and we just don't be quiet. If we hurting, we hurting.
Yeah,
And don't stop because until you get your victory, that something is not right.
yeah.
And it's a good thing just to have family and support because they're speaking on your behalf as well.
Yeah,
And
and our
so,
education, as well about, you know, medical scenarios,
mhm,
because a lot of times we come into the doctor's office not knowing what should happen. It's just like somebody going to a car lot or get their car fixed. If you don't know about cars, you get taken advantage of. So, you know,
right.
it's the same thing in the doctor's office. And
And they give you paper and don't tell you. Maybe they'll give you paper and say you about to go through surgery, but they don't tell you all the risk and
yeah,
everything.
exactly. And again, it just brings it back full circle, telling the whole story. And this is what we need, because I witnessed that myself. You know, my son had went through a stream situation, and it was because
Hmm.
they was sticking his mother. I believe it was because they were
Goodness.
sticking his mother with that she had the whatever the numbness went away, so they gave her more stuff. So I think they
Mm,
was drugging my boy, and you know what I'm
wow.
saying, one of those type of situations. So it's nuts, man. And we guys got to do better about educating ourselves. And it starts with things like this, platforms like what we have here, books. You know, it ain't always got to be the fun book that you reading, and you know,
Hmm.
like you got to have some knowledge, and the knowledge is in the books. And so we
Absolutely.
just, I want to definitely thank you, give you the opportunity to let
Thank
everybody
you.
know how to find you. You know, all your social medias, all that other good stuff, website. The book is being released. That situate everything.
Okay, I got you. I got you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you mentioned it. So, God Within a Lily is set to release this summer 2022. Now, if it released earlier than that, there is a good way for you to find out. You can go to my website at www.shawnisechantell, that's SHAWNISECHANTELL.com. Subscribe. Also, you can go there and pre-order this book before it hits Amazon and any other bookstore platforms. But if you want to reach me, I do have a number. It's 612 Purpose. That's 612-787-7073. And on all social medias, as far as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, just social media platforms. If you search Author Shawnise Chantell, you're going to find me.
I love it. I love it. Promote it, promote it, promote it. As I
But
again,
that's a part of it, right? You're
nah, and
part
I
of
love
it.
this. I love
To
the phone
spread the
number. That's
word.
dope. I love the phone number. That's dope. Listen, y'all already know how to find us. I won't starve.com, jhaleem.com,
Check them out.
YouTube, /Starve Talk. Go ahead and subscribe. You know, get on there so you can see this exclusive interview as well as the other ones. But definitely go ahead and support her. Go ahead to the website so that you can go ahead and pre-order this book. And, you know, make sure she coming to a theater near you, you know, because
Yes, get that. Get that.
it's nothing like it. Congratulations. I'm telling you,
Amen.
it's a beautiful situation
Claim it.
where you get to go to different cities. And, you know, I've been all over the country with my book,
Yes, sir.
and, you know, and to get the love that I've gotten is dope. And we're looked upon as great people. Like, I mean, when I go and tell people, oh, I'm an author, they look at me like, oh man, a Black author. Like, you know,
Mm.
So we still superheroes out here, you know what I'm saying? So just know that you're doing major things and
Thank
you
you.
had the right mindset for it, and you're trying to help other individuals by telling your story, but you're helping yourself as well, because like you said, it was some healing
Yes,
that came
it's
out of.
therapeutic.
Yes, so and it's nothing wrong with that. You know, we got to have that
Mhm.
airplane method. We got to put your oxygen mask on first. And
Got
so
it.
it's nothing wrong with that. But again, you guys, you know, we say here to starve, stand tall and reclaim victory every day. And definitely Author Shawnise has done that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love it. I
So
love it.
yes, man. So y'all know how to find us. Stay in contact with us. We'll see y'all next week on another show. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
I am in the studio with J Haleem. I'm in the studio with J Haleem.
You are now in the studio with J Haleem.